All right, straight to the oil and gas sector. Oil marketers on Tuesday countered the position of the federal government as they insisted that the current pump price of premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, should not be less than 800 naira per litre if there was no subsidy on the commodity. Petrol currently sells at between 580 naira per litre and 617 naira per litre, depending on the area of purchase, as the federal government, through its Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, had denied reintroducing PMS subsidy. On Monday, the Group Chief Executive Officer, NNPC Limited, Mele, denied the reintroduction of petrol subsidy and claimed that the pockets of queues by motorists observed in petrol stations across the country stemmed from hiccups in product distribution from the south to the north and not a lack of supply. Joining us to analyze this is Prince Kevin Fineface, security and energy expert. Good morning and thank you for joining us, Kevin.
It's a pleasure being with you.
Well, against the denial by the Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC Limited, Mele, that the federal government had reintroduced petrol subsidy, oil marketers are insisting that, well, this is not true. They are saying that if this subsidy had actually been removed, then petrol shouldn't sell for as lesser than 800 naira per litre, and that right now we have it, of course, being sold at about 580 to a little above 600 naira in some places. What's your take on this?
Well, you know, deniability is part of what the government will always do, especially when there's no transparency in the government's operation. PMS and other byproducts are not something that you have in secrecy. It's an open market thing. So when the marketers come to tell you it should have been much more, of course, they are not trying to bring down the government, but only stating the fact. And also, when the government counterparts tries to deny it, it's actually only trying to save its face for not informing Nigerians the actual situation of reality that we're faced with. From the beginning of this administration, we were told that fuel subsidy is gone. Then that snowballed into the ripple effect of having this crisis we had, where it became up to 700 to in some places, to about 580 some other places. And today we're looking at, in some parts in Nigeria, it's already been sold for 1,000 naira as of 2 days ago. The freight queues are regularly popping up in the city of Abuja. And the excuse is also because of the ineffective communication that we see with the government and the agencies of government, or currently now the company, so to speak. If NNPC is the sole importer of PMS and we're having what we're having today, there's something absolutely wrong. It means there is actually no liberation of that sector. It means it's not open for everybody. Because by now, we should have actually seen where oil marketers, independent oil marketers, should have been able to successfully import, PMS and other petroleum products, while we have, the downstream sector doing what they're supposed to do, the regulatory body regulating, the product that comes in. But it's still the NNPC. So whatever they say to us, what is going to be? The only way we can know the truth of the matter is when we have independent auditors that audit their accounts, audit their affairs, to tell us what is coming from crude sales to expenditure. Then we'll now know who is actually saying the truth. So for now, I can tell you independently that we still have the subsidy in place. It might not be in the number which it was, but there's still subsidy ongoing.
One would wonder why this whole subsidy regime is shrouded in so much secrecy. You just talked about the fact that the figures are out there. In fact, the marketers are backing their claim with the fact that the landing cost of petrol as of last week was 720 naira to a litre. Why isn't the maths adding up? Why is there so much? Why isn't there transparency? Why do we have to cover up this whole, process? And you talked about no auditor, checking the processes and all of the activities in that regard.
The why is simply the fact that politics and economics in Nigeria actually move hand in hand. The political class oftentimes tend to use politics to play with all the different aspects of the nation. So there's a political angle to why it is so. The political angle is that since there was an announcement that subsidy was gone, there has to be some tangibility to prove that it was gone. And so anything that would make it look like the government lied or that the government is actually not being sincere with the citizen, they will want to kick against it. They will want to try to cover it. So there's a glossing effect going on as a result of what we are seeing today, the deniers and also the facts that are coming up. In fact, to also check it to know that some of those people that have actually come to speak out from the independent market sectors are going to be gaslighted by the agencies of government. Before it was happening, somebody is actually being picked for trying to undermine, the national security of the country. Because what it simply means is that when the people get to know the truth, they will want to hold the government to account. And to hold the government to account, oftentimes, sometimes leads to protest, and other times leads to some form of strike. And so the organized, private sector and labor to be able to come out to educate the Nigerian public so that we can comfortably hold the government to account. We cannot have a system of government that do not want to be accountable to the people. That is not government in real sense. That's basically, a dictatorial, authoritative system. But if we want to operate a fascist system of government, then let's go by that. Well, this is a democracy, and as such, we have these symbols of democracy that brought about this government of the day, even though still contested to the level of the Supreme Court. We also see the case of forgery being, federal as a result of creating illegitimacy of the government. So you can understand why that why is why, like you asked. It's not far from it. It is just a glossing effect to try to make the government look good. So the facade is being painted while the main building is having a lot of cracks.
Well, you talked about the return of queues in the Federal Capital Territory earlier on, but the group managing director of the NNPC Limited, Melikiari, has explained that the pocket of queues by motorists observed in those petrol stations stemmed from hiccups in product distribution from the south to the north and not a lack of supply. I know that, over time they've talked about having several, liters of petrol in store, and that there's no scarcity of the commodity, and that the issue they're having is distribution. What are the challenges with distribution?
If you look at the banking sector, the banking sector had one disease called round-tripping disease, where bankers, bank officials, the CBN, the regulators, connive to undermine the economy by round-tripping the dollar. So they take dollar for official rate because we have multiple official rate then they go and sell it to the black market. So because that gives a quick profit, you now see bankers are sharing profits in dollars, as at that time until recently it was stopped. So you see the same thing happening in the oil sector, oil and gas sector. The regulators are there to try to checkmate. Oh, okay, so we're doing 617, for instance, we're buying 617 or 620 in Abuja. In some cases, some other areas, about 630 to 640 per litre. So what happens is that this same thing that I would call the oil, marketers and marketing brand.
Prince Kevin, are you here? All right, he's been talking to us about this issue or the secrecy surrounding the whole subsidy removal regime. Oil marketers are saying there is subsidy removal is not true, that there is subsidy, while the federal government is insisting that they have
removed. If you notice, right, the oil marketers' complaint is not out of place. It is when some persons are not getting as much as expected. So what they do, they sometimes send false signal to alarm the public. That will trigger the public to want to go buy, more people want to go buy fuel before the scarcity will actually take place. And so that will now create this false, scarcity that you see. The queues will increase because more people want to get as much as they can have so they can move around before they will increase the price.